I'm a couple runs, but I did this morning too. No, I got a call. I got a cool day today, so yeah, I got a cool day. Yeah, yeah, I'm about to get it. Yep, I already talked to her. I totally forgot, man. Well, I didn't totally forget, but yeah, yep, we good, we good, and everybody good today. Yeah, I'm in Michigan right now. Yeah, actually I'm in Flint. Hold on. You say what? Okay, okay. Well, I'm about to go live real fast, and I got the. You can jump where y'all on campus? Yep, you can jump on the GCU site. They should have it up in the library in the writing lab. What floor are you on? Yeah, go to the writing lab right now. He should be viewing it. He should have me playing in there. Him and them students. Yep, in the writing lab. Yep, you can walk right in, but you better get in there because he gonna lock the door. Okay. All right. Just email. Let me get your email and I'll send them to your email. So you don't got to buy those books. I'll send them to your email. Okay. All right. Peace and blessings. Alakim Shalom. All right. Bye. Hey, Meta, hang up. Hey, Meta, hang up. Peace, everyone. Oh, damn, I got these glasses on. Hold on. Give me a second. Hey, Meta, what's the temperature in Arizona today?
Checking Arizona weather for you. One sec. It's pretty hot in Arizona today. Phoenix is around 82 right now with a high near 106. And Tucson is up around 84 with a high near 100. Means even warmer out there. You planning to head out or just curious?
I'm in Michigan right now. I was just checking for some of my people.
Ah, got it. You're looking out for them from Michigan. Yeah, it's a big jump. It's only around 70 here in Flint today, while Arizona is pushing over 100. That heat hits different. Hope your people are staying cool and hydrated.
Yep, thank you.
Got it. Glad I could help you check in on them.
Peace, everybody. I had a little productive morning, but I'm always here to share information in my spare time. I use this as my community service. If you're not here to learn, I ask you to exclude yourself. If you're not here to learn, I ask you to exclude yourself. But if you are here to learn, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome to learn and share this with your friends and family while you're working. Put your earbuds in. If you want to say some positive things, you can. I'm sorry, hold on. One second. Sorry about that. 1 second, y'all. I just had to send this email. But yeah, gratitude to everyone. Like I said, gratitude to everyone. Like a lot of my nobles been saying, there was like Sheik brothers been following you for a long time. I know, but I know that's how brothers are. If they go to prison and get locked up, then everybody be linking up. That's why I said this ain't no prison movement with me. That's why I said this ain't no year name contest. That's why this movement won't go to where it need to be. And then a lot of brothers, they just won't be honest with themselves. They know it's only one Moorish Science Temple. They know it's only one prophet. They know this. They know this. So it's no disrespect to anyone, but it's only one Moorish Science Temple. I don't care what you call it. I don't care if you call it Moorish Science Inc., Moorish Science Unity Temple, Noble Temple. It's not the Moorish Science Temple of America what Noble Drew Ali established. That's all I'm saying. That's why you have to add different things. I call them asterisks at the end of it. Not saying that you're not right, not saying that you ain't a good person or this not, or etc. But when a person saying it's the Moorish Science Temple of America that the prophet established, no, it's not. And no one can be upset. If it ain't Moorish Science Temple of America, with the same bylaws, with the same paperwork, where everyone that's from the temple got the same paperwork, everybody's paperwork is different because it's not Moorish Science Temple of America. That's all. That's all I be telling brothers. And people be upset. I'm like, dude, I don't care how upset you are. Nobody cares. Nobody cares of all that caricature stuff. Nobody cares. I don't. We building over here. We building over here. That's why I said this ain't no Crips and Bloods. That's why you don't see Moors linking up, because Moors want to be the only one. That's why. If like we was dealing with martial arts and everybody say that they a master teacher in Wing Chun, and then here come real master teachers to come build on their science. I'm a teacher and a student of Wing Chun, and then everybody just put titles on them. And then when these so-called masters that's supposed to agree on certain mastery skills, the so-called ones that say they masters, they just bought their regalia off Amazon or from the Masonic store. When I tell people, man, for me, my Moorish science is not just talking about a whole bunch of traditional stuff. Man, I deal with the real clock of destiny. I deal with real scholarship. I deal with real authorship, not just for a group of misnomer melanated people. Man, you in the world. Because see, when everybody take all they attire off, all they cosplay off, man, ask them where they work. They don't wear none of that crap at the job that they work for. They'll talk all that stuff about the WHITE man, but I bet you work for the WHITE man. I bet you your wife work for the WHIT man. Everything about us be what? Dealing with other people. Because we don't produce and we don't own nothing. So when people talking, that's talk. I bet you go to work every day and I bet you your check signed by the WHITE man that you hate so much. Because you dressing up in cosplay in the temple, and in real life, that is not who you are. People be having fictitious names. You ask these people what's their real name. I bet you that ain't their name. I bet you ask anybody. That's why people can be caught up in caricatures. That ain't who they are at work. They Tom, Dick, and Harry at work. They ain't no Graham Poobah or this, not, and the other, blah, blah, blah. I'm not who I am at all my worldly jobs. I'm known as a divine minister, a priest, Melchizedek, Sheikh Goodman Bey at work. In my real jobs. That's why I be telling people, man, I'm like, this stuff is not real. It's cosplay. You can't tell me no different, man. This cosplay. And people be mad. People don't use scholars to help brothers come up. I'm like, if you can't help the kids be educated and smart while they going to schools and all that, and you limit it, why you don't link them up with somebody that can take them to the next level? I think that's holding the kids back. Here it is, a person that kids that want to be academically smart and challenged and go get skills, and the parent might not have that skill and know someone that have that skill, and we won't even link up. We have a whole society of a whole bunch of people that's the same with no advanced skills. Our whole conversation be some WHITE man stuff. I'd be like, man, y'all need to go sit down with that prison talk. You're not teaching these kids how to use their brain, how to be scholars, how to understand finances, how to understand language and health, how to love each other. Real esoteric science, real Gnostic science, real learning some skills, so they don't have to leave their community, so they own their community. We ain't a whole bunch of jack legs. That's why I be talking about, man. It's a whole bunch of jack legs, just talking a whole bunch of tradition stuff. Man, don't nobody want to hear that. Don't nobody want to hear about who's some supreme grand sheik all the time. Don't nobody want to hear a whole bunch of old stuff. And then when you look at the science, with all due respect, I say, man, what are y'all talking about? It's too many men that have been following me forever, y'all. With all due respect, I'm a man. If we was locked up, I'll say it in your face. If I see you, I'll say it in your face. And I hope nobody would want to act like it's no problem. We be following each other, talking to each other all day, and won't say nothing. People be calling themselves sheiks and have people and have groups of people. And then I say, well, if I'm not saying nothing good, what you hear, why would a person be on a person page a plethora of times? That shows the psychosis of that individual. I told y'all it's a lot of therapy that need to be done to a lot of these men. They don't even know it. That's why I say I feel sorry for the wives and the children. How dealing with certain men like this, I say, if I'm not saying nothing right, why would you be here a plethora of times and have a title as mine? And we don't even link up. We don't even converse. That's why I said this stuff is fake. That's why I said this stuff is fake. But then you will get locked up and then that's the only time we'll converse, when we locked up. Your freedom be gone. Then when people want to sit down and converse as brothers. But when we free, we don't say nothing to each other. And people be having all these titles. Oh, I'm sheik this. I'm the sheik of this. I'm the sheik of that. Okay, great. Well, it's just like if this is a conglomerate and we have dojo, and we have all dojos, and you teach a certain craft to where you only know how to use your hands. But then my craft, I know how to use my hand, my feet. We're mentally smart. We're physically smart. We know how to guard. We know how to do a lot of things. And then if it's brothers in your movement that may know some of my brothers, they won't be dissing you. They'll be coming to me to add value to, because you only can get them to where you can get them. You have to admit that that's where you at. And then say, hey, man, we need to link up with this to get to the next level. Or you will have a lot of people on the same level of what? Lower science. That's why I be telling people, you only going to know what's been brought to you. I guarantee you, especially if you don't do advanced studies and advanced teaching, you're going to have a whole bunch of people that's on the level of only know how to work with their hands. And there's other mental planes, there's other physical planes that you should be able to work with when you're dealing with a master teacher or a real shaman or a medicine man, or your Sufi, or your Sifu. That person that's on that level may know plenty styles to teach you a lot of defenses, to teach you other plethora of things, that's what I'm saying. Not no one and everyone know you limited. I say if a person is limited in their abilities, then that's okay. You limited in those abilities, you got to give credit where credit is due and say, this is how far I can get them. We got to go beyond this. How? We got to go with bruh. Why? Because bruh going to take this beyond this. Not only us as adults that's wanting to learn, but the children's are going to be able to get this wisdom at a young age to change the paradigm. The kids not getting it. I see what's going on in the temples. Jack nothing. There's a whole bunch of brothers up there preaching. And when I say preaching, just preaching what? Tradition. Tradition. Because we're supposed to have divine ministers in our movement. A sheik's supposed to be a divine minister. You're supposed to give a word. You're supposed to be able to do unions. You're supposed to be able to give a word. You're supposed to be able to lecture, history, and all that. And if you don't have that, you're supposed to have brothers or muftis or adapts in your society that's proficient on certain things to bring those type of things to you. A body. That's why I said the Moorish Science Temple was supposed to be a school. I said not a school of brothers in there talking semantics. That's why it ain't going nowhere. That's why it ain't going nowhere. And brothers not honest. Brother got to be honest with this movement. Like it's too much documents what the prophet set up You know, and that's why people can't copy what the prophet did, because the prophet already have the temple was set up in a certain way with the Herb Smith revised status. You know, the deck is already done. So anything anybody can do is just, and I'm not saying if your heart is pure or not, but I said the only thing people can do is say Morris Science Temple and add some asterisks at the end to make it a little different than the Morris Science Temple of America. Because there's only one Morris Science Temple of America. I don't care what state it's in. In my city of Flint on ML King, the Morris Science Temple of America been there forever. Right across the street from the old, what was that, Bunch? Or is that Gundy? No, that's the school on ML King that Pastor Martin got. It's the old Gundry, if I'm not mistaken, right? But on ML King, y'all know what I'm talking about. Before you get to Flint Park, if any of my people on TikTok from Flint, I think my homegirl on here, Sharika. I think Sharika on here. Sharika, right up across street from when you go on ML King, and when you cross, I don't know if that's Flint Park. It's before you get to Flint Park, but you look right across the street. You got the Morris Science Temple of America. Been there forever. I can take you to some other states, which is the Morris Science Temple of America, which is only one. It's the Morris Science Temple of America. No matter how nobody like it, no matter what's going inside the temples, that's not what we're talking about. So I always try to hope people stay in context. I'm talking about how Noah Drali established. So anything that's not Morris Science Temple of America is not what Noah Drali established. Now, I'm not saying people that may have started their own thing like myself may not could have been from the temple, but I hope those people will say so like I do. But I wouldn't create, for myself, I don't got to create nothing Morris Science Temple, say, society. I'm the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. I'm a Moore. I don't need to create nothing. I have a temple and a school where I teach brothers, where I have my own charter. I have my own fraternal order. Things are established in the right manifestation. So when people be trying to say, I'm just giving my humble opinion and you don't have to agree with nothing I'm saying. I just want to make things plain. I don't care what no one say. It's only one more Science Temple. That's all I'm saying. All that reincarnation of Noah Drali, I mean, I honor my mother and my father. I don't want to be the reincarnation of nothing. I'm who I am. I love me. When I look in the mirror, I love my family. I love my family crest. I love my coat of arms. So I'm not the reincarnation of nothing. You know, am I one of those in the flesh? Absolutely. That's coming to give a divine message and a warning. If you're down with your science, that's what in our one-on-ones, it says it's in our teachings. You know, part of our, those are part of our structures, which is our map, our Morris American prayer. So these are basic structures and tenets and ordinance. So when people be upset, I said, why are you upset? If you're teaching something that's valid, that's fine. But we got to understand that it's only one Morris Science Temple of America, which has a charter, which would have a state booklet. That's why I tell people, I said, if people say it's what Noah Drali taught, then they'll speak the truth. They'll speak how the temple was set up. They'll share the state booklet. Even when I talk about certain individuals that might be out of the flesh, if they was alive, I wouldn't be not saying what I'm saying, because I'm gonna tell you, I don't care how nobody feel. When you an adult and you leave people in the burning house, and you promulgate that as a group of people and call yourself a sheik, and what you saying can get people locked up, man, I ain't afraid to call you out. I'm not gonna bite my tongue. Oh, we'll do the other man like that, but when our people do it, oh, we messing up. No, we ain't messing up nobody money. Man, you in the way. You in the way. You in the way. And that's what I'm happening. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of people gotta be moved out the way. That's all I'm saying. If we promulgate some things, that's a fallacy. And I'll be talking about things that people be promulgating that's a fallacy. And that's why I be telling people, ask those questions. What questions? I got 2 phones right here with questions full. Well, when people done got caught up. And that's why they don't say nothing. Following people saying that they can expatriate from the de facto government, drive without license, squatting houses. They think all that stuff is contingent on you becoming a Moor. Majority of people Even young people. Why? Because they don't watch what's that show with Big Meech and them, and they had them so-called gangster Moors on there shooting and taking people houses, melanated people houses, which is ironic, you know. All these things, that's a fallacy. And then these grown men with the psychosis, I don't understand, be promulgating some paperwork stuff. And I said, what paperwork? What paperwork is gonna magically allow you to do something? What you think you finna sign? Because if any more get on here and call themselves a sheik and they pushing some paperwork to people, I say you are the problem. With all due respect, that's not real. None of that stuff is real, and that's why I tell people, everyone know that. That's why this science can be twisted, because you do have some people talk about they can nationalize you and denationalize you, and I say that's a fallacy. Can't no man you met on no internet, I don't care if they call themselves Sheik Grand Poobah, have the right to nationalize you or denationalize you. Man, it'll change you from the descendant natures of your foremothers and your forefathers. Those individuals can't nationalize the Sudanese, the Chinese, the Vietnamese, none of those. So what makes you think that they can nationalize you? What makes you think that? When we talk about when people be misconstrued in words, when I talk about due process, when I talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, when I break things down in its simplicities, no one can arbitrarily explain who you are. No one. No one. No one has the right to do these things. So that's what I talk about when people will, you know, and I'm not saying all people, but I've seen people will say they're the more science this and be something totally different, or say what it can and can't be. And I say, you're not the authority of what science is, especially if you're just talking about a whole bunch of tradition and not teaching science and history and physics and knowledge and order and rhythm and astrology, astronomy and nature, not teaching the in and outs, not teaching building a perfected man. That's not more science. More science ain't a people walking around talking about they don't do this and the WHITE man. That's not more science. That's not more science. That's radical, just like anybody else can be a radical. And there's radicals in every facet of the world is radicals, and we can agree with that, no matter what level they coming from. You can be like, yeah, they tripping. You can be like, yep, them brothers tripping. You can be like, yep, them brothers tripping. Yes, you can, but not with what I'm doing. That's why when I have time, after I come from real places, I showed y'all earlier, I was at the Cancer Center with my mom. You know, I set up, my schedule is set up the real way. I tell people real stuff. I said, y'all got to be amazed when this more science stuff came. Peace, God. Peace, brother monster. Peace and honor and righteousness to you, your family. Peace to everything you do. May the blessing of Allah, Buddha, God, Yahweh, whatever name you glorify, may it magnify, may it touch, may it anoint, may it just multiply everything you touch and your family touch. With all due respect and honor, man. Right back at you. But everyone know, man, we cleaning up here. I got time, I'm on vacation. I tell people, we cleaning up what? What? Everything. I tell people, ask me questions. Don't let no one get you misconstrued what the science should be and what it can't be. I don't care if they say they call themselves sheik this, sheik that, and you can find them and they got a group of people. And I say, well, if I want to do something and you want to do something and we a franchise, all I ask people, if we are the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple, no, screw that. Let's just keep it 100. If we the more science temple of America, with our bylaws, I can show y'all the state booklet. Everybody can get the state booklet from me for free. That's why I tell people, I say, sometimes you're going to have to digress when people be talking. I said, dude, you can't, there's nothing you can say when I'm transparent, when I give you everything for you can look at yourself. So you don't got to believe poo diddly that I talk about what you should do. When I say write things down, I hope you have enough astuteness to write things down, because I'm throwing you bullets. So when you can be like, Sheik, you talked about this state booklet. What is that about? You can get the state booklet. I can already pour a little something in your glass, per se. So when you get into it, so your light bulb would be flickering. You know what I mean? Because I'm gonna give you some things. I'm a preference a couple things before you get into that. But the The state booklet is going to talk about how the temple is set up. It's going to clear things up in a certain manner. So then when you're dealing with brothers and sisters and they say, oh, they more science this or more science that, is it more science Temple of America? If it has something added on to it, we're not saying to say what you're saying is wrong, but when we saying yes or no, no, it's not more science Temple of America. It's more science Temple XYZ. It's more science Temple this, that, and the other. It's more science Temple blase splee. That's all I'm saying. So when people ask me these things, because it's been coming around the mountain again. People say, "Well, Sheik, it's this amount of temples in Atlanta." They're like, "It's a so-called ink temple. It's a so-called this more science temple here." And then on the other side of town, these brothers say they this. He was like, "Sheik, what's up with that?" This Crips and Blah said, "Man, you got to ask them." That's what I always tell people. I said when people say this to me, I said, "Dude, you can't be in a city and brothers got splinter temples all over and everybody Moors in one little area." That's why I said I don't know what's going on. But if it's more Science Temple of America, that's what it'll be. That's all I was telling people. And it was like, well, damn, that do make sense. I said, I know. And I said, no one from the Moorish Science Temple of America nationalize you or denationalize you or tell you to expatriate from the de facto government and promulgate any of those things. That's a fallacy. Any of those things. No one, no upright individual that's honest that say that they the Moorish Science Temple of America and promulgate some real teachings and to be sincere and honest every time they speak about this wisdom would never promulgate none of that stuff like that. No sovereign citizen, no oxymoron stuff telling you to drive without this and that and other, and you can squat in houses and all those things. That's fugazi. It's so much. That's why I said that has to be cleared up. That aspect of what this have to be cleared up. And that's why I say I know what people talking about and I understand why people will feel a certain way. I understand why certain parents feel a certain way. But when they talk to me, they hold a paradigm change because they were like, well, you different. No, I'm not different. I'm the normal. You just gravitating to the tittle that's not no good. That's all I'm saying. And no one is spreading what I'm spreading. Somebody said, man, look, and they were like, you right, Sheik. They're like, look what people be spreading. And I'm like, I know. They were like, and there's big machines behind it. We the big machine, we the algorithm. I keep telling people, I said, man, there's a lot that'll come with once things pop up and once we have an infrastructure. It'll be like overnight success with what we be doing because we'll be the stakeholders. Who? Everybody on here. Everybody on here, when I show y'all the strength and numbers and everything, will be like, holy crap, we are stakeholders. Other things starts popping off because I know how to do other things. All it takes is the people. Then we start owning homes, like in a certain area. This stuff is not rocket science. But the first thing I tell Moors, you got to be what? Right. And that's what I'll be saying, y'all. It's too many men that have been following me that call themselves sheiks. And all due respect, this is my page. I ain't disrespecting no one. It's just like if you walk past me, sister, just me, and you see me all the time, right? And you never say nothing, but then you on my page every week. You jump on my social media, but you will walk past me every week. Won't say nothing to me, right? But then as soon as I jump on social media, you'll be like, man, Sheik, did I just see you? And I'll be like, man, you saw me 15 times, sir. You walked past me 15 times, brother Monster. And that's all I'll be saying. And I don't be meaning no disrespect to brothers. I'll be like, man, what's wrong with y'all? It be brothers that call themselves sheiks that be on my page right now. And all praises to Allah. You know, all praises to whatever name you glorify. These brothers been on my page that call themselves sheiks and don't say nothing. And be on my page. I'm like, well, what's the purpose? That's why I be saying this stuff be whack. And then they be acting like I'm saying something. They be like, well, why are you upset and angry? I'm not upset and angry. I'm speaking on the psychosis of grown men that call themselves leaders of men. That's why I'm saying it's like, what do you mean? Exactly what I just said. Great men link up with great men. That's why when man honors man, we honor Allah. That's why we don't have our great Mount Rushmore per se of real scholars and real educators and real historians in real life, because that's what brothers do. These brothers are called or have the same positions that I may have, and have a group of people. And the Empress told me, she was like, Sheik, I heard this dude stealing. Well, not stealing, because you can't steal nothing from me. It was like, she was like, he had to been listening to you. She was like, because she was like, only place I heard what he was saying is from you. And she said, I'm going to check him. She on here right now. And she waiting for somebody to say something. And I was like, that's why I just text her. I said, please don't say nothing. You know, it's okay. And I'm telling y'all, I know that. So when people be acting like that, I said, no, because then I got a database, Brother Monster, how long brothers been following me. I got brothers been following me for years, 7 years. Say they part of temples, with all due respect. And then a lot of them said that they were part of certain people temples that was on here, and they don't rock with them no more. And they be on my page. That's why I be telling people, I said, oh, you can't be honest, because, hey, all y'all, the brothers be on my page. One brother was on my page telling me how he used to go to the so-called Sheik temple and XYZ, and he don't go there anymore, and XYZ and all that stuff. And the brother was like, man, I've been following you for 7 years. I said, 7 years? I'm like, damn. You know? And that's why I be telling people, you know, honest is the key. I know. And that's why then when I tell people, they don't have to believe me, I give you something to compare it to and see, can you make reason and see, can you make sense with it? When you compare it on this axis with whatever else you have, you're going to be like, man, I'm tripping. I guarantee you. You're going to be like, man, I'm tripping, and everybody else tripping. And you're going to be like, man, if you done that, I think you need to back up and you need to go holler at bro. I guarantee you, everybody on here will. Because I'm telling you, what people doing, they not showing y'all things. They not showing y'all precedent in law cases. They not showing y'all doc case, the doc numbers. They not showing y'all the Information Act. They not showing y'all everybody. Nobody winning nothing. It's all a fallacy. And everything you doing is wrong. You have to think about these things. If your nationality is this, Moorish American. If your race is Asiatic. If that's what you agree to. If your status is free white, man, everything else you're doing, if you don't understand these things, if you don't understand what I was talking about yesterday, because that's what I'm gonna talk about from here on out, it's nothing else you can tell me. If you spreading some expatriating from the de facto government, man, you wrong. I broke down simple things. The SF 181 form pertaining to ethnicity. I break simple things down. I ask people, have they ever read and understand white by law? Most people haven't even read it. And if they have read it, we know if they have, and if they understand it, Brother Monster and Nobles, they would have been, how can I say, pulling the bullets out like I've been doing for years. Like, clearly, you don't understand what's written. Clearly, you're not dissecting things. Then when I get into the Justinian, complex of how things was written to show you, yes, something might be written in caps, but that ain't it. And so these are the things that I'm talking about. Like, if nationality is order of the day, I hope you can explain it fully instead of giving me a whole bunch of old catchphrases. Do you understand what I'm saying? If nationality is order of the day, I hope you be able to, when I say white by law, and I say, well, when the person said, well, I ain't a WHITE man, I didn't say that. I ain't say that. The first thing I'm saying, Nas got a song when they said, what men do when they don't understand something, they reject it. That's a character flaw. I'm telling you and give you the opportunity to investigate something, to research something, to ask some questions, because it's some questions that need to be asked for a person that's a novice to what I'm talking about. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying should be taught to the kids so this can be familiar. Because if you don't know what I'm talking about and the first thing you do is reject, that's a character flaw, because it's some wisdom in what I'm trying to give you, what I'm telling you to take the time to look at. So you can start looking at things in an aha moment. I always tell y'all to what? Yesterday, it's certain words that I told y'all to write down. I told y'all to look up in the 1828 Webster Dictionary and look up what? American. I told y'all that yesterday. And tell me what you get. When you read that, and it should be some light bulb moments. I said you need to read that to your kids. The 1828 Webster Dictionary. It's nothing that we should be like, well, we agree to disagree on when it's dealing with prehistory and lawfulness. We can't agree to disagree because you can't arbitrarily explain these things. These two things go hand in hand, like nationality and spirituality, which is a person's right to understand, which is a person's right to promulgate. That's why I said I have the right to do this. I have the right to clear things up. When people be talking about an oath or a Hippocratic oath, I took an oath what? To be a truth teller. I took an oath, man. How? When I went and got anointed and consecrated, I said, man, I'm going to come back and I'm not going to have to do nothing for a check and can't teach my people and teach some fugazi. Why? Because I went through all that before I got this. So now I'm able to say, oh, I can set some things up on my own and give my people a chance to help us establish something, on this earth plane. You see? But the first thing,
Another message from Barclay Bay in Group Barclay Bay.
the first thing brothers have to do, man, is be honest and spread this message. You know? That's all. That's all I be telling brothers, man. I be like, no, man, we should be linking up. But I see it, everyone. That's why I said I love to do this because it brings people together because it brought me and my brothers together. But then it also put a light on people behaviors, and you'll be like, damn, Sheik, this person is on your page, or this person is on your page. And I don't win it because a lot of people, I just give y'all references, brother. Monster, as you start seeing things and other people have been on my page, a person was like, yeah, this Sheik dude be on your page and he's on my page now, with all due respect. And people were like, yeah, I went on his page and he from this area and blah, blah, blah. They were like, man, he be on your page all the time and he don't say nothing. I say, no. And I said, nope. Everybody be like, Sheik, you a real one. What my homeboy said, he said, you a real one. You always gonna say, yeah, because I'm from Flint. He said, because you from Flint and you don't play. No, I'll just keep it real. I love my brothers that much. I love my brothers that much. If we on a level and we supposed to be for the uplifting for humanity, and we on here on social media, and I'm coming on your platform and I don't say nothing, and I call myself on the same level, or if a person say they on a higher level than I am, so whatever. But in the same level, we ain't giving each other the respect to say what's up, or to say, man, hey, man, introduce ourselves. We sit there, you know what I mean? Like, I ain't saying we trolling, but we sit there as we trolling. But what you say, bro, as you should, and you have the right to. Thank you. That's all I'll be saying. Thank you, brother. Thank you. I'll be that, and that's why I'll be on here. I'll be hoping people will be speaking. I'll be like, man, am I coming off a certain way? No. Because when I be telling other people, different nationalities, they be like, well, huh? And I'll be like, yeah, this person is a Sheik. Got people be on my page all the time. And I'll be showing them, they be like, yeah, he from here, and that and the other. People be like, yeah, he do. And I'll be like, yeah. And I'll be like, man, what's wrong with us? And so, and people, and don't say nothing. I say, and that's why I say I'm able to speak what I'm saying. And I said, I just hope it get to the point where a lot of the people that rock with me, be willing to help support a brick and mortar and everybody get a tax and receipt, because I'm not a poor righteous teacher. I'm an infrastructure person. I'm a person that did this for other people and all this. I know how a religious organization, churches, XYZ, understanding how to use language and doing things the proper way, where we can own something and we can decipher the money we're giving away to something that's real. That's what I know. That's what I know. I know this for a fact. And for me, it's disheartening. It's for me to be disheartening when I see brothers that say that, yeah, I'm Sheik this, I'm Sheik such and such, and then other people be on my social media that be saying, yeah, man, on my page, yeah, man, I went to this brother temple and XYZ, and I'd be like, well, hey, man, I ain't here for that, whatever, explicit, or whatever you felt that you didn't get out of what you're supposed to get. If they was teaching something that can get you in trouble, then we always can clear that up. But if you learn something and you cap at that wisdom, and you come to another person that's as great or as great as I, and the wisdom is there and it's taking you to another plane, you give credit and homage where you from, and you add value too. That's what I tell people. We don't have to diss nothing. It's like when you're dealing with mathematics and then you start learning multiplication. You don't diss mathematics because you learn multiplication. Those are tools in the toolbox because you might need that type of skill. Again, you might have to teach it to someone. Those are what we call in academia prerequisites. I'm going to teach you X, Y, Z before you get to Z. I'm going to teach you the X and the Y, you know what I'm saying? Before you get to that last level. You know, I'm using that as an analogy. And a lot of people don't want to take those steps. You have to. And that's what I'll be saying, brother, the respect that we don't have with each other. And people want to be the only one. And I said, but you tap with your wisdom. It's just like if you got a group of kids and they all failing in trigonometry, and you like, well, I'm the Sheik or such and such, such, such. And everybody be like, but yeah, Sheik, you ain't good in trigonometry. And they would say, well, we don't want nobody that's not on our science teaching our kids nothing. And they say, well, we know a Sheik that know all. Why don't we get him? And then he got a crew, and then he got a whole staff that if he don't have the time to do it, he have ability to do it. But I'm sure he can make things happen. He can take this from this, and we don't even rock with it. And our ego and our lower self, it allows people to be stuck in a level of what? In a level, if I use masonry, you be stuck in snowman wisdom. Because a lot of people be under that snowman wisdom, you know? You said, great to be here, start following you years ago. Learned and still learning. Midwest Windsor. See? With all due respect and gratitude to you. That's what I be telling people. I'll be like, man, I said, it's real people on here that'll be like, man, no, in real life, because I'm on YouTube too. They'll be like, man, I've been following you. You know? That's all I'll be telling people. And I respect everyone. But I'll be like, man, when it comes to the science, I'll be like, dude, no. I'll be like, no, I stand up to anything that's not right. Why? Because I give my life for what I believe in. Everybody that know me be like, well, he ain't playing with what he talking about. I stand up by myself. Why? Because I already been through the burning house. I already live like a dead man, with all due respect. When people say don't put that on you, I'm just telling you exactly how it is. It's just what it is. When my brother was took off this earth, you know, I had to live a certain way. I had to be serious with everything I do. And money don't, you know, do nothing for me. The more money I get is the more ministry I want to do. The more money I get, like I said, once the cup overflow, I'm talking about what? Brick and mortar. I'm talking about community center right off the top. I know what to do, you know? We just being wasteful because they put in the small tittle of us that took, you know, advantage of a small group of people and messed them up. But everybody that been following me for it, they know I'm not. And I got a lot to offer. I'm telling you, man. I got a lot to offer. But I'm saying I don't think we respect each other. Why? Because I just made an example. It's brothers on here that call themselves Sheik's family, my YouTube family, and my TikTok family, and they call themselves Sheiks. You can look on my page, you can go on their page, and they Sheiks in their rightful mind, and been following me for a long time and won't say poo diddly. I have the right to say what's up with that. I'm like, are you trolling me? I'm like, is Ashton Kutcher gonna come out the closet or something? If they gonna come and say, oh man, you punking, and the dang Benny Hinn gonna come out? You know, I'm just saying. That's all I'll be saying is like we don't be, you know, we don't take it no further. Yeah, well, I'm glad you said your uncle was a Mason. Where I'm for myself, I don't know if you know. I know you see the compass and the square on here. But I'm not a Freemason. I have my own charter. Like my dad grew up in a science, but he got out of it once I started going through. Well, he didn't get out of it. He just separated from it, you know. But this is a compass and a square, you know. This is a compass and a square. So I'm not a Freemason, you know. These are signs and symbols. This is just like I show people this in Adapt Wisdom. I show people when I show more science. When I showed the so-called Circle 7, I showed this a plethora of times. That's why you know, when people just make statements, because someone on here, this brother said something different. He said masonry has destroyed the black community. And then I say, well, what type of masonry are you talking about? I like to hear this, because this is our own symbology. This is why I tell people, and in elementary, these are 2 elementary twos. The only reason why a person will say that, is because the lack of knowledge. When, that's why I tell people, I say the only reason why we say things because we get things from a connotated perspective. This is what you can make a circle and a square. You got this in elementary, so it's nothing Scottish. They adopted these signs and symbols and put it in your face. And most people that's on a level of 32 and 33 degrees, which when meteorology freezes, that's their fault. You said stealing, so if it's stealing, then it belongs to an individual. All Masons are sons of Muslims. Only black Masons would say that they are widow's son. So you have to take that up with your brothers that's on a low level. That's the thing. You keep saying them, brother. I tell people we lost due to a lack of knowledge because we refuse to learn. I always tell people, I said, dude, you have to understand what's yours. You have to understand the copy copied you. It's just like if somebody living in your stolen property and then they riding around, and then when you get the records, it's still yours, but you think it's somebody else's. That's the psychosis of brothers when you get your science from the wrong perspective. I'm clearing things up. Every European Mason is going to agree with me. We are the source. And see, I try to tell you this is yours. The same thing you looking at this is this. This is why I tell people we be lost due to a lack of knowledge, because you refuse to learn. Brother, you lost. Nothing is, listen, nothing, no European started nothing. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle is stolen legacy. You got to understand this. And brother, you lost. Once again, you lost. I think someone have made you upset, I think something made you upset or something. I think you don't have a clear understanding, but I understand your plight. And I can say, yes, I feel what you're saying, but you're not, when you're going with it, when you're coming from a anger perspective, where you're coming from, brother, you're going all the way off the deep end, You're going on a totally deep end of it. And I say, you learn, you getting there, but I promise you, brother, the water's going to get real deep, and then you will go over to your head, because I understand what you're saying. I understand you probably watched some videos. I understand that. I know most people never been in a Masonic house, don't know the true essence of anything, because most things been coming from TV. When I break things down in real science, when I break signs and symbols down, when I break down the pentagram, the 5-point star, the 6-point star, when I break down the so-called swastika, when I take all those symbology, and then when you say this Scottish Rite, I keep telling you, all Masonic symbols are nothing but different mathematical equations. So once again, I don't even have to go far to prove that what you're saying is not 100% factual. I'll just say I understand the level of where you at with your understanding, and you should be willing to learn more to have a clear understanding for the light bulb moment can come on. That's all I tell brothers and sisters, because we give our science away, because we be subjugated. How? With certain things that be put in your face. Like, I'll give you an analogy right now. You would think the Baphomet is something scary because the way it was given to you. But the Baphomet is written Kabbalistically. You might not never heard of what I'm saying. Tim Hope Habs Abba. So the Baphomet is written Kabbalistically. So a person will see that, you will see that symbology of Kol Volta and won't even understand the symbology. Why? Because most people been programmed to think that's something scary. But all animal figures with heads are nothing but pious hieroglyphs. So the whole lack of knowledge will have our hearts hardened, like Pharaoh pro se. You know what? From the lack of knowledge, from the lack of closing a cap. That's all I tell people, because if I can show you scholarship, I talked about this yesterday. All first history scholars talk about the signs and symbols of the primordial man. Albert Churchward, he tell you all these signs and symbols belongs to the primordial man. Not some, not a little, all of them. When I talk about supreme Hika, when I talk about this is really the 9 to the 9 to the 9th power, all those things, when you say African symbols and you say, well, this is theirs, it's nothing that's theirs. So when we say those things, once again, that's coming from a lack of knowledge. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, they came to a certain area and learned these things. Yep, that's what I'm saying. You still coming wrong. Said, but you are supporting a European interpretation of it. Brother, you wrong. Brother, you wrong. We just have to admit when we wrong. That's all. We just have to admit when we're wrong. That's just like saying the Fez is European because European Masons, Scottish Rite Masons, adopted it. Like the biasness and the lack of understanding of what I'm trying to clear up. That's just like saying that this is somebody's and the followers of Yasha wore a turban with the jewel on it, and in the misnomer Black church, the magical workers of the East wore turbans in the churches. You know. So you wrong, brother. You just wrong. You just haven't learned enough. That's all. And so I allow you to keep saying that, but you're totally wrong. All masonry is European. You're wrong, brother. You just 100% wrong. I'm sorry. You know, you're 100% wrong. You're 100% wrong. Scholastically, you're 100% wrong. No European Eurocentric created no form of masonry. You may think that, because certain things that was given to you, but historically and scholarshiply, brother, you just off. That's all. You know, and I don't want to keep going there with you, but you off. You definitely off with that interpretation of that. You're definitely off. You know. You keep saying stolen from. Brother, you keep saying stolen from, brother. So you keep correct. I hope you listening to what you're saying. I already told you stolen legacy. You off. You keep saying stolen. So if something was stolen from someone, then what you think it means? You just explained. Then I said stolen legacy. You already done broke it down. So I don't see this. This is not an argument. If you say something is stolen, I say, yeah, stolen legacy, right? You were like, what you mean? All this stuff is stolen legacy. So if it's stolen legacy, how many times I gotta say it's comedic science? How many times? That's why I say a lot of people don't have the documents and the history to be able to show these things. And we've been given some stuff. I already been given it the true origin. That's why I be telling people anger and their perspective. I'd be like, who are you upsetting? Who are you talking to? This is what I'd be telling people. I said, dude, like most people that come from their first time, they'd be laughing. They'd be like, well, dude, I think you need to check the records. Because we were already been there. And I think your perspective is off. Because people that they already been there. You coming off the wrong way. You keep talking about something stolen and this, not and the other. And they were like, well, damn, if you're saying something stolen and this man is showing signs that was theirs and he already done broke the symbology down, go watch. He don't have to every time stop what he's talking about because a person is asking a question. We talked about that the other day. We in context. So what I'm saying is a person can be off. Exactly. Thank you. You said people should be upset, just have to learn from the right one. Exactly. This is what I be telling people, and that's where I say the aggression and the anger. I always tell people you're giving something away, and the copy copied you. I keep telling people, they be like, what? I say, you giving it away. I can show you all writers from Adam Blavatsky that was all learned by Moors. All of them, Alice Crowley that was learned by Moors. Pascal Beverly Randolph, learned by Moors. Man, like something. We're gonna have to remove you because that don't even make sense. Like you're not even I'm not saying who it's stolen from. Like sir, you're not even making sense. It's something wrong. That's why I be saying, what do people be wanting to debate now? Well, you're not saying who it's stolen from. Man, are you crazy? That's what I be telling people. Is like, what do people issue be? So give props to the true creators. Who I'm giving it to? Who you think I'm giving it? Who I've been giving it to all day? Who I supposed to be giving it to? An alien? You talk about who the true creators? Like people done lost their marbles, man. You see what I'm saying? Who were the originators of Freemasonry then? Man, that don't even make sense. We got, like I said, I don't even have time for those things. Because those are meaningless conversations that we already done spoke of. That's why I told you, man, when you have some people that just be wasting time. That just be saying things out the side of their neck. Well, who the original this? It's like, dude, like, you haven't been listening? You haven't been listening to nothing what a person was saying? Like, do you really need to be spelled out for you? Or are you being an agitator? Like, clearly. Like clearly. That's why I said we're supposed to be building, not on here debating or talking about things that we have no understanding of. No true historical understanding. If something is a resurrection and a restoration, that means you're showing something that was already there. This gathering, this science, these symbols that's synonymous to other symbols. Man, brothers and sisters have to know that. Brothers and sisters have to know things so you won't be afraid of certain symbology. So you won't be afraid of like certain zodiac signs. So you wouldn't be afraid of language. You can have a clear understanding. So when you see people doing things in a righteous manner, that's all you got to worry about. That's what I tell people. I say you have to take back what's yours. And people are afraid because people been rocking in your house for so long. That's all I tell people. I said, man, people been rocking in your house for so long and you don't even know it. And you think you need the other man's approval. I keep telling you, I got my own charter. I have my own fraternal order. That's why when somebody be saying the originator of this, that, and the other, hey, I can talk about myself. You know, I can talk about myself. A lot of things people don't understand. You are the originator. The copy copied you. The originator. And when the people say the original, people say they original. So I don't get into arguing who is the original. I get into who we are. Oh, hold on, bro. Hold on, I got you. I got you. That's why I tell people they be wasting their time. We be wasting our time on other things. And I said, dude, we done lost our marbles. Once again, we done lost our marbles. How? By giving your credit to someone else. By giving your science, by thinking someone is so powerful. They got some all-knowing, and they'll tell you that they grew up a certain way. They'll tell you they came out of a cave. They'll tell you X, Y, and Z. They'll tell you they didn't have no running water. X, Y, Z. So all these things, when people be asking, well, who was the original of this, and that, and the other? You tell me. No, you tell me. And that's when I be telling y'all when I say people be wasting time. And you don't have to entertain those things because people done lost their minds because most people done got their information off the internet. You know, every time, I be like, it's a joke, you know? I say, all of this is a joke, you know? All of this is a joke, you know? All of it. Because people don't know, and people be upset. It's like, dude, a lot of things be in the wrong way. When people say they two things, I say, well, dude, it's just like when people say they this, a part of a Freemason, and you have a potentate. And then if you say God is the Allah and God is the Father, and you don't have no one under you and all this, so do you need to be a Freemasonry and a Muslim? You tell me. That's why when people be saying things, I be like, well, hey, I haven't took no oath. to no other group and then say I'm a religious person, because that go against the tenets. That means you always have someone over you. In Masonry, you have what? A potentate. So and if they Prince Hall Masonries or PHA or PHO, I mean, a lot of them brothers be wanting their authority from the other man. So once again, I always tell people, it's like, hey man, it's no one should be on here arguing or debating or having a certain feeling or feel a certain way. Just come with what you know. Just come. That's what I tell people. Come with what you know. You know, do what you say is right. Because if whatever you a part of, if it's good for a group of people, it should be no secret. It should be put. It should be shared with all the youth. It should be, you should have junior this, junior that. It shouldn't be no secret. It shouldn't be no, well, it's something special going on in here. Because if the lower house is a certain science, then the higher house is another science. Then why isn't that shared collectively? That's all I'll be asking brothers when they say, well, they say a Muslim and a Freemason, and I say, well, why and how? And what are you learning in the lodge? And then inside of your mosque, are you promulgating two different things, or are both things that you're saying synonymous with one or the other? Because that's why I be telling people that no one should be on here debating or arguing. A person should be saying, well, this is why I'm doing this, and this is the X, Y, and Z, and this is what goes on in here. Not upset at nothing. And then I ask a person, well, okay, well, if you're a Freemason and a Muslim at the same time, I would say, well, is it two different things that's being taught in your lodge, and then in your Masonic, and then in your where you and your brothers pray, in your Islamic practices? Is it two different sciences? And as you a Freemason in your lodge, is it Christians and Muslims in your lodge? And then if you say you're a Muslim, you go into a place and you only around certain Muslims, and that's all I be asking people. Because they say these things, and I say, so are you under two different oath or two different brotherhoods or what? Because if a brother say that they are Muslim and a Freemason, then okay, then what, are you a Freemason? There is some type of oath. And when we talk about the oath, it ain't saying nobody doing this or these things is happening, X, Y, Z. I'm saying is, what are you promulgating that's different in your lodge, that's in your house with your Muslims, in your mosque? Is it two different sciences? Especially as a melanated brother. Because if it's not a melanated person, then I'm not talking to that individual. That's all I ask people. Because I know you got different type of Muslims, like you say the Nation of Islam and Sunni Muslims, then people say Nation of Islam ain't Muslims and all this X, Y, Z, and all these things. And I say, well, okay, if a person say that because that individual said as an actual Muslim and Freemason, every time he scrolled past this live, he chuckled. And so I say, well, why? Because it must be some things that I think you may be wanting to share and can't. Because if you're a Muslim and a Freemason, well then those are two things that I hope a person would be freely to talk about with his brothers. And all I'm saying, if you are that, I think sometimes, especially those that be preachers in religious houses, it's something different that they're teaching in their lodge. Or is it? Or is it? Or is it? That's all I be saying. And so when people be saying, and I give credit, and just like the other brother was on here saying earlier, here go a prime example when he's saying that Masonry originated from the white man and XYZ etc. And then here we have an example of a brother saying that, he's a Muslim, a Freemason. So you see how both perspectives, well, you see both of them would be, I'm not saying they would be compatible, but from the perspective that they're coming from, it'll be a battle. Why? Because you see why. Because here it is, a brother that say he a Muslim and a Freemason. And then the other brother on there saying that the Masons, is the cause of the word and messed the world all up. Well, I'm not a Freemason. I break down these Kemetic symbols and show you what the copy copied you, and showed you a certain individuals and groups came to a certain area and took tools that was already you, just like Credo Matua. I don't know if people know who Credo Matula is. Just like when I talk about the Zulu as a shaman, as a medicine man, a lot of things people just don't know. And we have to admit that. But here it is, the brother say he a Muslim and a Freemason. He said he a Muslim and a Freemason. And then I have professors that's Scottish Rite Masons, because I know most melanated Masons that they'll say they're a widow son. And I say, okay. And then I get a Scottish Rite European Mason, and they'll say they're a son of a Muslim. So I always say, yes, misnomer Black Masons, no matter if they Christian or Muslim, they always gonna chuckle at things that bite, that make them feel a certain way, because they're gonna tell you that they're a widow son, and the other man gonna say that they're a son of a Muslim. Now, which one you are? Are you a widow son and a son of, or a son of a Muslim? Right there, you should be questioning things, because you damn sure ain't no widow son. And these things are not explained. So when a person say they this and that, it's some type of understanding that's cloudy, unless it's not Freemasonry. Because remember that Freemasonry, like, what is free? When you identify, and that's going back to understanding who you are too. And that's going back to understanding who you are too. And so this what I'll be showing y'all, the separation and the anger, and how we won't even be willing to sit down and be like, wait a minute, we are just accused, because social media has clouded a man's judgment, has made a person say some things and really don't even really have the real understanding, or just make up things because we see things on TV. With all due respect. And so I see how people come at people when they don't understand signs and symbols. I'll be like, oh man, I said, you don't want to have a resurrection? You don't want to have a restoration? I only can restore things back to symbols. Even when I talk about the 9 to the 9 to the 9th power of 9, I can show y'all all that in my fez. I can show you a circle and a square, and make the circle and a square with this right here, which is on your elementary tools. But people use these things. I can show you every Masonic symbol is a mathematical equation. So if you know that, anybody dealing with mathematics, if I showed them signs to an elementary student, they'll name out the mathematical equations. Why? Because they wouldn't know Masonry. Masonry just adopted these signs and symbols that come from a certain area that always has signs and symbols. Before you had language, you had what? Signs and symbols of the primordial man. It's books, Signs and Symbols by Albert Churchward. It's books by Gerald Matthew, Stolen Legacy. By George G.M. James. So when I be speaking to things, when I be showing symbology, I tell people, like, I don't have a problem with nobody parents or growing up to something and they were Masons. That's what they knew. That's what they was into. Were they talking about who they are? Some of them. Some Masonic groups were talking about history and all that, but some of them wasn't. But if people know me, and if they been rocking me for a minute, I'm not a Freemason. I understand these signs. Everybody will know I have my own order. And so no one is not the owner of this symbology. We understand that these are tools. These are tools. This is a symbology of a tool. This is an insignia. It's just like any other fraternal order that started. That's when I be telling brothers, I said, listen, I didn't have to get authority from the other man. That's all I be telling people. There's no need. There's no need for me to have to get my charter stamped from the other man. Because I'm not that. I'm way past that. And when I speak that, when it came like that, it was like, well, this man don't need the authority from that. Why? Because he's not that. He's this. This is when he's established. He tell you he has his own bylaw. He has his own charter. I got my own religious exempt. That's why I tell people, it's like, I don't understand what people be saying. It's like, do people know what symbology is? Do people know what this is on my neck? Do people know what this is on my neck? So we don't understand symbology. And that's what Nas said. A lot of us, we hate what we don't understand. So the first thing we do as melanated people, we diss it. Why? Because we see others take our signs and our symbols and take it and run with it. Just like the so-called swastika. You think Hitler originated that. But I can take you in the continent of Africa, and in a lot of the pyramids and the temples, you will see that. Wait, when I go back to the Herd Museum, it's on a lot of indigenous pottery and things because it means something about energy good coming in, good energy coming in, and bad energy going out. A lot of things we just don't know because we don't understand symbology. We've been told, we've been programmed. These is facts. These is keys. Everybody know I'm telling you the truth because you can research it. So when people see symbology, the first thing they see when a melanated brother know what he talking about and has some wisdom, and he ain't took no oath, he ain't no Freemason and no Muslim, you know, I can speak freely. Why? Because they tried to get me into it. My professors, our potentates that I went to at GCU, that I had the pleasure to conversate with, the pleasure that I had to give a lot of stuff given to me, and it was like there's no reason to be a part of something that's underneath what you already know. And not saying that you will know it all, but it said you already know these things, so you have to build on where you at and create your own charter, just like we have. I keep telling you, man, it ain't nothing about me, BLACK on nothing. And that's a whole nother reason when people be saying these things. When I say, okay, so are you no disrespect, a Muslim and a Mason? So are you a Prince Hall Mason? Are you a black Mason? If anything black, are you a black Muslim? That's a whole nother thing as well. And I always tell people, it's like, man, I ain't here to argue with no one, but that's what brothers do. You know, every Mason that I met, it always be some no disrespect, some silly SHIT. Every one of them. It be some caricature stuff. Oh, I laugh, I chuckle. Yeah, we know. We know. And, you know, a lot of Greek brothers that, especially a lot of the Qs, and all that. I be like, man, yeah, we know. But it's all due respect because brothers is brothers. But when I say the truth of the matter is, you can't be upset because you don't know the truth. We can't chuckle and jive everything off, and then we can't admit when we might have been sincere and we sincerely wrong on a specific topic, and you would just run it all the way to the ground. How? By playing, and that's a whole nother issue as well. You have to be like, man, you know what, bro, you right. We ain't destroying everything that got us here to the age we are and to this understanding of listening, but we damn sure don't have to say certain things is valid for us to carry on. You know, that's what I'm saying. It ain't. We have to give those things back. That's all I'll be telling my brothers. And I told y'all, religious brothers, they always gonna laugh or it's gonna be a joke. Why? Because that's how they come. That's how every religious person is programmed, no matter what religion it is. If you a so-called radical Moor, you're gonna come in your radical Moorness. If you're a Mason and a Muslim, you're gonna come in that way. If you're a gun-ho Christian, if you're an Egyptologist, if you're a pro-back Africa, if you any of those perspectives, and that's how you rock and you gun-ho, that's the energy you're gonna get from who? Everyone. That's why I say it ain't about no one else. That's why I'll be laughing. I say I don't get treated like this or all these questions or a million of questions. The world already knows. I done broke down so many scholars in first century. They'd be like, did y'all hear what this man just said? And you steady arguing over something and about some semantics, saying, well, you chuckle, yes, because you've been misprogrammed. Because you fell for the Jedi mind trick. You got to know that. You say you this and that at the same time, and then in certain masonry, don't you have a potentate? And then you a Muslim, and then you say, well, I thought you pray to some, and there's no other God but that. That's all I'll be asking. And then if you're a Muslim, if you're a Mason too, then you have a potentate. So you have two gods. Or what? Or what is it? That's all I'll be saying. And that's why when people be coming on here, with their antics, and I'll be like, well, you the one said that. Not me, brothers. So then you have to look at those people that be willingly saying these things, thinking they smart, and don't even be knowing what they saying. And then when you can look up what their bylaws is and what they're supposed to go by, they'll be breaking all their rights, but their religion, but that's it's supposed to be in by being a part of some secret masonry. You breaking all your tenets of your religion that you say you go by. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. And if I'm not, explain it. That's why I said, but I don't have time for things that's meaningless, and I'm not going to entertain it. I told y'all people will always tell on themselves. Why? Thinking they smart. Am I right or am I wrong? In Masonry, when you say you a Freemason and a Muslim, isn't in Freemasonry you have a potentate? Yes or no? Yes. And in Masonry, they say that is only one God, is Allah and all this. So, but you got a potentate. So what you talking about in that lodge that's different in the house in your mosque with your Muslim brothers when you go to Juma every Friday? Don't you go to Juma every Friday? That's what I be saying, man. I told y'all. So what do we be talking about? This is about us. This is about brothers that's not clear on what they doing. And when they see brothers operating, and I say, yeah, you will laugh because you took an oath. You know, of what? You tell me. That's why I tell people, yes, you will laugh because you took an oath. And the person say, well, what's the oath? You tell me. You tell me. You tell me. Because I know what it is. And it ain't complex what people be thinking. It's simple. That's all I'm saying. So when you see brothers that's Masons, yes, they have adopted certain symbology. Yes, they adopted the compass and the square. Yes, they have adopted it. Adopted. This is adopted. Just like certain Masons adopted the Fez, right? The Shriners. They adopted the Fez. Why do you think they ride around in little Corvettes? I'm telling you, the Shriners adopted the Fez. Fred Flintstone wore his when they went, the Puba. The Fez is a historical hairdress. And see, a lot of stuff have to be cleared up because people would get misconstrued. Oh, the Fez, the Moors killed this. Leopold used the Fez as part of his regimen. I did a lecture at GCU about Africa was not named after a European. That's all I tell people. All you have to do is go on my YouTube channel, get familiar with some things, and then you'll be like, oh, my fault. But we don't do that with each other. We do that with the other man all the time. But I showed people that Leopold used the Fez as part of his uniform. Hitler did too. Don't you know Hitler regiment wore the Fez and they studied the Quran. Big facts. Mussolini did too. Y'all know this, right? So when people just be saying things, I'll be like, man, come on. Genocide happened. It's melanated people in the continent of Africa taking people out right now. So come on. And also, family, I don't think a lot of people, how can I say it? And make this sound a little bit better as well, for you can watch as well, so you don't have to listen to nothing I'm saying. So you can have two witnesses. When you get a chance, you can go on my YouTube channel, and you can pull up the European Mason giving credit to Noble Drew Ali on his 135th birthday. But if you don't want to go on my page and show me some love, which I hope you do, subscribe to my personal YouTube channel. It's my name, Kareem Ivan Hakeem Goodman Bey. But anyway, you can pull it up on YouTube and say, the Scottish Rite Mason giving credit to Noble Drew Ali on his 135th birthday. And then you see what he say. He's giving homage to Noble Drew Ali. He's talking about certain things that was here. And when people give their science to someone else because of a lack of knowledge, and it's always going to be truth tellers in parts of history to show some things, no matter what color they are, always. But a lot of people just don't know it. You know, that's what I be telling people. I say it's a lot of people that just don't know it. So when people, the first thing we see are signs and symbols, and And just I'll give an analogy of how people won't be 100% honest when I talk about recreation, but you can't recreate something that's is the original. So what I'm here to do is clear things up. When I say you can't get mad at me, because I had enough ability and a power and a withal and an aptitude to have my own charter and not subjugate myself to be something that's lower than me, that I know that's beneath what I understand. So when I talk about certain masonry and certain masonry that's 32 degrees, I'm not saying that those individuals are bad people. What I'm saying, that science that's been promulgated on that level, if you still own some things that's synonymous to slave per se, if that mentality is still on that level, then I'm saying it's another level of wisdom that hasn't been reached, that should be that you should want to reach, especially if you my stars of the east, which you call the Eastern Star. All I'm saying is you are under a certain science that you may not understand, when it comes to certain specifics. So that's why people would be upset and all these things. Because if we so knowledgeable of who we are and we are part of these especial groups that's supposed to be so magnanimous, why aren't we teaching the kids this? Why isn't this science that we teaching so? If it's so great, why aren't we teaching these kids to be these things and be the next pillars and be the next, XYZ in the communities? If these special groups is so good, you know, and so when I tell people when things are done the right way, you can just like with our guys, people things are being revealed, and I say the only thing that can be revealed is something that was already there. They're just going into our guys. That's why so much stuff is being revealed right now, because stuff was stored, stuff was built upon. Just like I'm telling y'all, man, I've been telling y'all, I did a whole lecture years ago about our city of Flint. This city of Flint is indigenous, it's indigenous land. Well, everything. Iroquois, Chippewa, Mount Elliott, all these streets is indigenous. The soil is good. The acorn tree is good. It's so much history of understanding who you are, to where we give our science and we give our understanding away. And that's what I'm saying, per se. When a person to say, well, oh, the WHITE man, this and that and the other. Man, the WHITE man would tell you that they come from out of a cave. No disrespect. So no disrespect to no one and all this. So why would you give anybody that source and they'll say, well, yeah, they are Anglo-Saxon and XYZ and this, and that, and the other. Why would you give that any power of intellectualness and say this was discovered by this group of individuals and you will learn from that? And the facts of the matter is it don't even go like that. So when people see signs and symbols, the first thing we'll do is go to some YouTube understanding or some stuff you saw on TikTok. When you hear some people talk about some Illuminati, a whole bunch of fake stuff, and I say, man, I don't know what y'all talking about. Like I really don't know what y'all talking about. And when it comes to brothers in masonry, I'm like, man, a lot of that brother stuff, a lot of them brother stuff, they ain't doing nothing. With all due respect, we give things too much power. That's why I say, man, it's nothing secret. It's nothing secret what we doing. That's why I'm trying to show people. That's why I'm trying to bring people in, is be like, wait a minute, man, this don't belong to no one. No one is the originator of this. This was here way belong. An individual adopted it. You just don't know that those things was adopted. Why? Because you're not into it. And now social media and now propaganda is out, so people can gravitate to anything. Why? Because people make choices all day. That's what we talk about, but is a lot of times there's no facts to what's going on. Think about it. Think about all what everybody, we on TikTok. How long we been here? Okay, a minute, an hour. We got a little bit more. We've been on here, and some of the things people have said, to fly out of their mouth in a certain way. And I said nothing disrespectful or disheartening to no one. I said, you see what happens when people are a part of affiliations? You see these things? Why? Because this is what happens. When when you don't understand that you are the originator and understanding symbology. I tell everyone I'm not orthodox. I tell everyone I had the pleasure to study plethora of crafts, even in academia, even going through my science and my spirituality. I had the pleasure to study a different, on different platforms and have a clear understanding of everything outside, but also have a definitely clear understanding of what's inside. And I'm able to expound on both and make it contextualize it for people. And that's that's what I tell my brothers and sisters. I said I'm not afraid to do that. We need that. You can't be afraid. Can't be afraid to talk about that. But this science can't be biased. We can't be on here disrespecting each other. If a person said, well, they may have, how can I say, took an oath, and when we say take an oath, we, in a context, everybody always look at it in a bad manifestation for those that took an oath. But you know what I'm saying when you took an oath. Sometimes when you take an oath, you're just not going to say what you know. You're not going to help certain people because you're only going to help certain people that you rock with. It's certain things that you, how can I say, if the individual ain't rocking with you, you just wouldn't, you know, exhume. Now, am I right about it? Maybe. Am I wrong about it? Could be. I could be. But when it comes to this science, y'all, there's no reason for brothers to be giving this science away and be arguing saying, well, it's some WHITE man science. That's sad. That's some of the saddest stuff to even hear. And I wrote a book a long time ago about our scholars in history. So to give anything away, to anyone else because you don't understand these elementary tools, which you can make a circle and a square with in elementary, you have to just say that. You can't just say the first thing like you got Tourette's, oh, this the WHITE man, because that's disheartening. That's disheartening for me to say. Then I say, well, do you know what the rest of the symbology is? Do you know what this is? Do you know what this is when I have on other things? But the first thing you see is this, because people adopted this. The first thing we'll do, we'll give it away. And I said, that's not it. If you under some science, if you understand this, you understand the synchronicity of this symbology. You definitely do. It's just like when we talk about the hex alpha, right? And the graduation cap, when I always talk about using certain tools, to make 360 degrees. The graduation cap, and the hex alpha, the fez. Both of those manifestations equal the same mathematical equation. But how? How would it manifest the same mathematical equation with the tools that I have on? This is all I'm saying. And so when a person say, well, that's sub-bodies, when I say, no, what I have on are keys, yes. Just like when a person say, well, you should have on a ankh. I do. If you understand symbology, if you understand things, that's why I said no one puts no one in a box. You must have understanding. Once you have clear understanding, you will have an aha moment. I always talk about that. What? A light bulb moment. How? That's when peace comes. I thought you want peace. Peace is understanding. Sometimes we reject peace. Why? Because we don't want any understanding. Peace is a level of clear understanding where you can be like, oh, yep, you're right. It's an aha moment. It's a light bulb moment. That's what it is. It's like a refreshing moment. I always tell brothers and sisters this. I said, once these things are developed, once you see this with a clear eye, you come from that babe stage. What? To be able to use what? All tools. To be able to see nature. To be able to be successful in your own right. To be able to look at your brothers and link up and build community. That's what this all about, man. So I just wanted to share that with y'all, man. It's a cloudy day today, man. I'm about to sit back and chill. Got a couple errands. Oh, damn, what time is it? But I really wanted to share that with y'all, man. But I hope, brothers, it's clear what we're talking about, because I know a lot of Masonic brothers. I know a lot of European Scottish Rite Masons too. you know, in Arizona. I met a lot of them when I was going to GCU. I meet a lot of them at the library when I still go. You know, when I still go. You know, I go up there every so often, do what I need to do. But I don't know what brothers think this is. I don't know why people give their science away. I don't know why we accept disrespect from our teachers and things. It's just like when C. Freeman L. I'm sorry, y'all. It's just like when C. Freeman L. when he wore his fez, and he had writing on his fez, didn't he? Didn't C. Freeman L. have writing on his fez? And he knew what it meant. He knew what his writing meant. Somebody will say, "Well, Norbert Ali said, oh, you don't got to wear your fez to file and all this, and to get all this." And C. Freeman L. will be like, "Man, go have a seat, grasshopper." You know, the same way I would. Then somebody be trying to say, "Well, C. Freeman L. is in." No. C. Freeman L. know what he got on his head. The same way I have on my neck. The same way C. Freeman L. explained it. The same way I can explain it, which I've already done a plethora of times. Which I show in history that certain signs and symbols are synonymous to other signs and symbols. Some of us just not been illuminated to those degrees, and that's what we have to admit. We don't diss nothing, and then when it's explained in a specific fashion, I think we should at least be willing to say, you know what, I see that, but we are conditioned to diss things that we don't know. We are conditioned to look at symbology and give it to the other man. And when the other man would clearly say that they a son of a Muslim. So how can they say they a son of a Muslim and it don't come from you? How can your other brothers say that they a widow son? And I'm telling you I'm not a widow son. I'm telling you clearly. And when brothers be saying these things, I said we're not responsible for things that we thought we knew when we was, in a lower level of wisdom. But when we come into higher wisdom, we should be coming to learn, not to debate. And so when brothers will say it out their mouth loud and clear, well, I'm a Muslim and a Freemason. And I say, well, how that's working for you? And I ain't saying it in no disrespect, because some people be saying it disrespectfully, And I'll be like, well, how that's working for you? I say, well, how that's working for you? I said, so you got two different teachings going on in your lodge, then going on where your mom and your mom's, because clearly, what is it? And then in your lodge, if the brothers in there, that's Christians or what? And your brothers. So I don't know. That's why I always be asking these brothers these questions when they be saying so many things, and I'll be like, hey, that's cool. But I don't have no one over me. I don't have no potentate. My temple, the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple at school is set up as a theocracy. It's set up this way. The Moorish Science Temple of America set up, and we have it a certain way where certain individuals is going to continue to go on as we proceed, as the Creator continue to take us to the next level. As we dealing with the right people, we're gonna go to the next level, right? That's what I be telling people. I be like, man, we got to get all that fake stuff out of us. Like, how we gonna say we the originators of all this, and then when you see something that other people may have worn, but it's not even historically being explained that way, and then when someone explain it historically and make it make sense, you would give it away. And then be argumentative with it. It'd be like, dude, I don't be understanding people's plight. I'm like, that just like if somebody bringing something back to you and be like, no, this was all yours. And everybody be like, yeah, I knew it. They just took it. They was rocking it, made you afraid of it. I told y'all, this is the 6-point star, the 5-point star. Like, all the Masonic groups in gangs is just connotated. I can show y'all things, man, in certain cultures, which a lot of stuff I don't show and be like, man, no matter if it's red or blue, I'm gonna show you that you just looking at things all the same. You just your eye is just it's not on it the right way. And once I show those things and put them, you know, put them like this, and show you, people to be, you have to be quiet. It'll be just like it'll be a perfect mathematical equation every time, no matter how I turn it, no matter how I spin it, it's gonna equal out to certain perfected things. Why? Because it's supposed to. I'm telling you, man, it's so much that can be seen with things that just how they lay on their axis. And so when I talk about this science and I'm passionate about it, I always ask brothers, why would you give the science and say it's somebody else's? And let's just be honest, because I don't think we being able to see brothers that's not under some other people's authority or with some mystical name, you know, and some brothers that be like, okay, well, this is what this science about. This is what this Kemetic science about. This is what this is all about. This is who you are, teaching levels of wisdom. There's nothing wrong with that, with no brotherhood like that. Even the biblical scriptures talk about Jesus, Yahshua, being under the order of Melchizedek, and what a brotherhood is really like, like oil going down to the beard to the shirt. And brotherhood is something good, not taking an oath, because, take no oath. But I'm talking about a real brotherhood, understanding, like in the biblical scriptures, it's spells, it's tools all through the text. A lot of people don't have the eye to see that because those things have to be brought out to those individuals that's ready to see that. And that's an acceptance. Certain words have to be accepted for times and periods. And this is the right time for the right word to be accepted, But what I be telling people, I'll be like, listen, man, this stuff is right in your face. And you can't be afraid of these things. No, brother. When I be telling people, we can't be afraid of things that belong to you. When I can break things down, like if this was a transformer per se, to other symbology, to other so-called African symbology, when people be huffing and puffing, and if you know anything about what I have on, you'll be like, well, that is African symbology, and this is African symbology, and this is this, and this mean the same thing as this, and this mean the same thing as this, and this circumscribe this. I mean, come on. And when I say mathematics, only a group of people have mathematics. Only a group of people have binary. I keep talking about supreme Hika. That's why I be telling people, if they listen and just be quiet for 1 minute, I am your brother. This what I be telling people. I be like, it'd be like you on Jeopardy, and before you let the person finish what they saying, you just hitting the button, and then when the person say something, everything you saying is wrong, and we won't even admit that. That's why I say the issue that is going on with us. Because people will bang things down and they'll be so upset because maybe some things that they thought was right and they might have a sincere heart is not valid. Maybe what someone is giving you is keeping you subjugated on a lower level. Why? Because that's what that's all about. Because that's what those things are all about. So I always tell people, brotherhood is number one. Because if you're in Masonry and you say the lower house is so-called Christianity and the higher house is Islam and all this, and you become a practicing Muslim or whatever it is, or before you come in the house, you're supposed to know at least that, because really it's no higher or lower when you're dealing with that. You know what I mean? When you're dealing with Masonry, to be honest, because people are supposed to come in with a level of something, just what it is. But what I'm saying is, it can't. This is no secret, brothers. That's what I'm trying to say, y'all. Is it the Freemason stuff? Yes, you have Freemason groups, but they adopted this symbology, and this symbology it means something. And when it's worn and when it's respected in the white ray in a proper way, just like the Ankh, just like the chalice, it means something. Just like wearing your fez, just like wearing your turban, It means something. How? Because everybody dressed like you, the copied you. That's all I be telling people. And we have to give it an opportunity to be like, well, you know what, you right. It's just like when you see a certain a group, a hateful group, which is the K, you know, and I say, well, if you ever seen in a book where they got all they attire from the BLACK Saints in Spain, the whole attire. J.A. Rogers' book, 101 Amazing Facts about you know, the NEGRO. It's in there. So when we give people credit and authenticity, original, there's nothing original about that. Why? If I can show you in history, and you can be like, well, wait a minute, this comes from this. You can be like, yeah. If I can show you in history in first century writers that don't look like us and be like, well, yes, this science came from this, and this was subjugated and took from here. So if I'm showing you this and I'm steady telling you this and revealing this, why would somebody be up here arguing with me, having a conversation about something? Well, this is come from this and the WHITE man and all this stuff that's meaningless. That's what I keep telling brothers. I be like, man, are y'all listen? I said something is wrong with the mental. That's some psychosis stuff. I just dropped down so many references of things that you can look at and say, well, I hear what you're saying, but how can this come from some WHITE person and a WHITE person in this time period is saying, well, they got this from you. This man just quoted this. This man just quoted that. This man just quoted this. And it's right there. So why you keep giving this to someone else? And they wouldn't even thought of doing this when you did. Because this is African Hika. I promise you. If any records will show this, so why would anybody will say this is, this belongs to some WHITE person? Because they adopted these things for certain symbology. That's all you can say. That's all you can say. And then we also have to remember, when we have to talk about everything, just like the so-called cross. When a person say, oh, that's like the cross, it's the evil this and it's the evil that. I say, yes, but the cross also can mean fire, earth, air, river. I get everything what people be saying. I understand what everyone be saying. I really do. But at the end of the day, when it comes to understanding, when it comes to science, when it comes to these keys, man, we have to sit down and be like, wait a minute. Because y'all see what happens. You see what happens when people don't have a clear understanding. And these people be the teachers and the ones that spreading things. And I always talk about the power of understanding, the power of coming together, the power of respecting each other, the power of respecting each other's thought. Man, it go a long way. That's why I always ask people, have you ever been to a lecture? Or have you ever been to a place where a person, speaking on a specific topic? It's not there for nobody to be there that's spewing a whole bunch of stuff out their mouth or upset of what the lecturer is saying. The lecturer is giving certain topics that people may want to hear of, or this is a specific topic that the lecturer is giving, and people are here to listen to the lecture. And that's the thing. And I said, if we feel a certain way about everything, which I always ask people, I say, why don't you teach it? Why don't you illuminate it? When people be saying that they Muslims and they Masons, and I say, well, why aren't you sharing that with the young kids? Why don't you make a podcast and share how good being a Muslim and a Mason is, and where your lodge is, and where brothers that want to learn can come visit? They'll never do that. They'll never do that. But they'll get on here and say some of the most outlandish things, and they should be about peace. Nothing harmful should come out their mouth, especially if they're a Muslim and a Mason. They should be sharing, hey man, if it's so great, this is what we learn at. Come learn. But that'll never happen. That'll never happen. If you're a Muslim and a Mason, that'll never happen. You see what I'm saying? And it be the same way with brothers that say that they Christians. They be on the same. Remember, I always talk about radicals. Not all. It be those type of radical religious people. They all the same. no matter what religion, no matter what they talk about. I don't care if it's Moor, Hebrew Israelite, Christian, Egyptologist, whatever it is. That's the behavior that I'm talking about. That is the behavior that I'm talking about right there. You know, I'm always say that. It's like what, man? Those things shouldn't be. We shouldn't have no issue what we doing. You know, but we always get caught up to so-called movements when people get in trouble, and we all and it all it's the same old thing. With all due respect, a person trying to wake us up. It's always that, y'all. And I said, wake us up to what? And I always ask people that I said, wake us up to what? Like really wake us up to what? Because I always ask people. I say, I have empathy for everybody, everybody's situations. I have empathy, but wake somebody up from what? Doing what? Like you got to tell me. Wake up, somebody waking us up from what? That's all I be asking people. Is like, come on, man. What's really going on? When a person say waking us up and they sacrificing themselves, and people talk about this happening to people, but for what real? But for what sake? But for what movement? Not for no internet movement. I mean, come on, y'all. We have to think about this because that's why I be saying when people be saying, "Well, these type of individuals is the root is the reason why the world is messed up." Because I've heard these people say that what I've heard people say certain European Masons or Black Masons they have all this power, but I'm telling y'all giving some people way too much power, especially NBC Masons. With all due respect, and I'm not disrespecting no one. I promise y'all, y'all giving some of them NEGROs too much power. I'm telling you, for a fact, especially especially in certain communities, man, where they don't understand the dynamics. Man, it ain't like that, and people be thinking that because you watching some TV stuff. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling y'all, man. We got a little bit more time. I'm telling y'all. So I hope, brothers and sisters, once again, don't be afraid of their signs and symbols. Ask. Because y'all been watching me for a minute. I'm transparent. I show off videos of Steve Coakley when he talk about the GREEK is a, FRAUD. I get all that. I get all that. But as you go deeper and deeper with science, when they be speaking outside of those houses, when they're trying to illuminate other people, it's gonna always come back to what I'm talking about when they in the house where you're gonna be able to illuminate a person and say, well, yeah, it all belongs to you. We know that. So if it all belongs to me, well then I'm gonna talk about me. I'm gonna rock everything about me. And if people don't like it, I'm gonna illuminate you to it. If you still don't understand who you are, that's on you. Because the other man that you're gonna say is his, know that it's who the originator is. I use the analogy. Somebody steal your grandparents' house and everybody know it in the records it's your grandparents, and then they come and tell you that this is their parents. No, they know it's took from you. It's yours. You have to get it back. If the law say, especially if the law say it was took unjust, and so that's all I'm saying. And that's the first thing we do, as brothers and sisters. We disrespect each other, man, because things we don't know. And I always ask brothers when they say they Muslims and they Masons, and I always ask them, how's that working? You know? I mean, like, how is that working? Like, and they say it with a badge of honor. And I say, well, this right here is a plethora of things. I have my 7 on my circle 7 on. You know, I have other symbology on. I got other symbology on my neck. But the first thing when people we see certain symbology that certain people don't have a clear understanding on, which you should want. You should you should want a clear understanding, and you definitely should want to rock with your brother when it comes to the science, when it comes down to be able to break these tools down and actually apply them to real life situations and unity. That's why certain people be upset. They're not upset if I was on here doing some of the most outlandish things. You know, I'll be, you know, people that love it because it'd be some caricature stuff. It'd be some charlatan stuff. You know, it'd be some charlatan stuff. But those aren't the things that I'm doing. So when I'm comparing and contrasting, when I'm comparing and contrasting, y'all giving y'all things to look at and be like, wait a minute. When a brother can say when a brother say they're a Muslim and a Mason, and I'll say, well, are you teaching two different things and X Y Z? And so the first thing they'll start doing is playing around. And I always say, well, why? It's no joke with me. I always tell people I'm on the thing of you can believe anything, but when it comes to reparations, and everybody say they down with reparations, identifying as NBC is not going to happen. Now, if you say you a Freemason or this, none, the other, or some black group and all that, then I think we should have a sit down. Why? Because whatever black group you a part of, if you say you a Mason and a Muslim, you saying you a black Mason and a black a Muslim. I don't know, but that's what you're saying. But a person is going on the other end with it and won't even, speak logically or speak specifics. Because if you're a black Muslim and a black Mason, then do, do you believe in reparations? If they say yes, and then I say, well, how can you believe in reparations and want liberation, monetary, tangibly, whatever, identifying as something that's synonymous to slaves? They don't say nothing about that. And I say that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Number one, I said, out of everything that you think, if you understand what you're dealing with, your spirituality, then the next level, if you say you rocking with this type of how can I say it, reparation or restoration, if it's money or land or whatever, and people say that they identify as, NBC, and you would take that and put that on the table and fight and obtain a lawyer, say you obtain Ben Crump, pay him $10 million. I'm telling you out my mouth, we will lose. And the person would say, well, why you say we'll lose, Sheik? Because you should know that NBC don't have no rights in law. Like, it's not going to happen. And the only people that's going to get paid for something that was created is the individual or the entity that created it. Now that has to be understood. So it don't matter what attorney, what lawyer you get to fight or try to, defend you in that manner, you will lose. And that's the issue when I say if you in a Masonic group or if you're in a Greek fraternity house, and when people be talking about gatekeepers and all this stuff, I say, on that context, yeah, when certain groups and certain societies, they will, pick their own individual or whatever before they pick a person out in the regular world, yes. But sometimes brothers and sisters give people and entities too much power because they're not unified. You're not doing things righteously, So that's what I wanted to say, y'all. Don't be afraid of who you are, and don't be afraid of your brother. And if brother is part of things, and you say you this and that, that's on you. But I always ask a person, how is that working? When you a Mason and a Muslim at the same time, how is that working? And what's different? Is it something different in your lodge? And then when you go to your mosque with your Muslim brothers, and it is something different with your Mason brothers, and is your Mason brothers your Muslim brothers, and is your lodge in your Masonic house? Are they both tied together? See, it's way more questions that need to be answered, and people don't be wanting to answer those questions. So I won't entertain a whole bunch of babble. Because I'll be like, well, then what? Is it two different sciences that you promulgating? And then I know brothers that's Masons and don't even teach their kids the science. And I say, well, if it's so good, why you don't have, the young brothers coming up in a society like the other Masons do? And then brothers be like, well, yeah, they do. Well, why you don't? Why you ain't teaching your kids this? If it's so powerful, if it's so good, that's all I'll be saying. And I'll tell people what I have is powerful and what I have is good to be able to teach a kid at a young age. I'm telling y'all, man. So that's all I got for everybody, man. I love y'all, man. And thank y'all for taking time out of the middle of y'all day, listen to a little old me. But as we continue to grow and build, as I take time out my day, I just say, man, thanks for tapping in. I like to do this every so often in the middle of the day. See, it'll be later on tonight. But I got some dope stuff coming up. I'm going to see if I can record it because I don't have nobody going with me, and I'll be wishing I could have somebody record with me. But sometimes I don't be giving a damn, you know. But it's all good. I'll be going back to my alma mater, talking to some college people. And then I got to speak, and I'm going to be able to do that. I got to go to Howell, Michigan. And I know y'all know where Howell, Michigan is. That's where Cleary University is, one of their main campuses. So it's just a pleasure to do things and talk to other people, about science and about just showing some things in history because it's all American history. And that's another thing I always want to tell people. I say all I talk about is American history, things that I discovered. Not I'm the only one to discover it. Is there sitting. Anyone can discover it. I was just introduced to it, and the spirit, also pushed me. That was one of my interests. So I'm able to talk about things that interest me. And it just so happens that people are interested in those things. It just so happened that, and the ironic part about it, family, is different nationalities is interested in it. That's the crazy part. Like when I be having my Moorish heads on, I be going around, they be like, oh, we saw Queen Elizabeth or whoever with one of those. And do you have those? Can we wear those? And I'd be like, well, yeah, they be, it'd be funny because, it just be funny when I see the different, response, that comes around. It's just funny. You know what I'm saying, y'all? But none of this stuff that I speak on or none of this stuff that I talk about is something that people should be afraid to talk about because I don't speak in that manner. I don't speak in a way where I'm thinking we finna overthrow something and we finna expatriate. All that stuff is meaningless. I talk about things that a lot of people have been talking about for decades and eons. I talk about things that's in their libraries, in their doctoral libraries, in the Library of Congress, and the Royal Archives. I bring things out, to say, well, look at this, not telling nobody you have to do anything, but showing you that free men have a choice, showing you different things from different perspectives to be like, well, damn, how can we say we this or when brothers say they sheiks and doing all this? And this is the type of science that we need. Some meaning, some progress, And so that's what I'm here to give, some progression. Because it's too many L's and B's. It's too many L's that's been following me, y'all. It's too many of y'all. It's too many of y'all for brothers ain't hit me up. It's too many brothers on here that call themselves more this and that and other. It's too many of y'all. It's like, come on, brothers ain't gonna help this movement go to the next level. I mean, I got sheiks on my page. And these brothers don't even say nothing to their brother. I'm like, come on, man, let's take this to the next level, y'all. But I've been on here for a minute. I thank y'all for y'all time. But let's build. Let's go to the next level. Let's clear everything up because there's no reason to be doing nothing illegal. And if you want to learn really what some keys about, you should be willing to sit down and learn it and apply it to your life. But we out of here, man. Peace.